How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Maxine Waters getting a very tough line of questioning from MS-13 DNC. And before I say anything else, I just got to say that I am pleasantly surprised here. Pleasantly surprised because normally MS-13 DNC, MSNBC, whatever you want to call it, they're going to give those softball questions to anybody on the left. That's how they generally operate. Now, if you happen to be on the right, and you go on MS-13 DNC, well, hey, may the Lord be with you, because you're going to get a very, very, very tough line of questioning. It doesn't matter what you're on there for. You could be on there for rescuing a cat from a tree as a firefighter, and they're going to say, hey, do you still beat your wife? You know, that type of thing. So I was very surprised that they asked Maxine Waters a tough question. Now, let's go ahead and roll the clip. In this clip, you're going to see the very tough question. You're going to get some context behind the question, and then you'll see Maxine Waters' response. After we get done watching that, I'll talk about all of what was said. Then I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere. We've got to get the children connected to their parents. The children are suffering.
I think we've got Maxine Waters back. Congressman, sorry about that. We seem to have had an audio problem, but I was able to play that clip that you were referring to from June 23rd, 2018, where you're asking people to confront Republicans at department stores, gas stations, at restaurants, and tell them they're not welcome. That's the stuff that Donald Trump's attorneys say proves that you and others are doing the same thing Donald Trump was doing on January 6th and in the days before that. What's the difference?
They're going to try it. But nothing any Democrat that I know of have ever said or acted in the way the president of the United States has acted. People must realize this president was out to destroy our democracy if he could not be president. He sent those people, those domestic terrorists, to the Capitol to take over the Capitol. Even they are saying so. They're saying they were invited by the president. The president was rallying them right before they went. He told them to be tough. He told them to take back their government. And so nothing equals that. Yes, I defended those poor children in cages that the Trump administration had left there, separated from their parents. And there was a movement at the time where restaurants were denying members of his administration, of his cabinet, and saying, you guys should speak up for the children. And so that does not in any way equal what this president has said and what he has done. As a matter of fact, the Republicans should be afraid not only about the destruction of our democracy, but if they continue to support him and allow themselves to be guided by him, they're going to have to live with a president that dictates to them every vote they can take, every vote they cannot take. He's going to be in their primaries. They will be owned by this dishonorable human being. And if that's how they want to live, if they would rather be owned by the president who, in fact, tried to destroy our democracy in order to stay in office, then they don't deserve to be elected. And so no matter what he says about me or Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, or anybody they're going to point to, it won't work. It won't work at all, because nothing matches the way this president has tried to destroy this democracy.
So let me just ask you, because this is what they are going to say. Can you say that you have not glorified or encouraged violence against Republicans?
Absolutely, I can say it. As a matter of fact, if you look at the words that I used, the strongest thing I said was tell them they're not welcome. Talk to them. Tell them they're not welcome. I didn't say go and fight. I didn't say anybody was going to have any violence. And so they can't make that stick.
All right. So you saw that. You heard that. Now, like I said from the very beginning, I am very surprised that MS-13 DNC would ask her that kind of question. Now, Granted, that wasn't really a grilling like how they would do to the right, but when you judge it based on their standards over on the mainstream leftist media, they may have well asked her, hey, do you still beat your husband? That type of thing. It was the equivalent of that because they don't normally ask tough questions of the left. And it was a valid question. Now, I've been saying the same thing because when she was out there with her bullhorn, and it's like a random type of thing, I don't even know where she was at. She's talking about, oh, it was about the kids in the cages or whatever. Okay, that's another hypocritical stance as she really exemplified in her response because the whole kids in cages thing, who started that? Was it Trump? Was it Obama? Like, who started that? Because now you got Biden reopening some of the cages that Trump had closed that Obama had built, and he's building more. He's going back to doing the exact same thing he did under the Obama years, building the so-called cages and filling them with kids. He's doing that exact same thing right now and opening ones that have been closed under Trump. But I digress. To get back on track, she's a big time hypocrite. And the question was valid because, hey, you're talking about Trump sending people out there at the Capitol to do X, Y, and Z. But I never heard Trump say anything like, hey, when you see them in public, push back on them. When you see them in a department store, a gas station, wherever, push back on them, make a crowd. And the way she was saying it with a bullhorn in front of people and kind of like yelling and stuff like that, that was, a provocation. Now, what Trump did was say, hey, be strong, go down to the Capitol and, show your strength that way, but not as far as going in there and hurting people. We never say anything like that. Now, she said that some of them that have been arrested, they're talking about, oh, Trump sent me. Well, yeah, they're going to say that. People like the QAnon shaman, who ain't nothing but an FBI snitch, in my humble opinion, not to be confused with facts. But of course, he's going to say, oh, Trump did it. He's the one that sent me because he wants to just throw Trump under the bus to save himself. These people that aren't really, in my humble opinion, real Trump supporters, is kind of out there doing whatever they want to do. Now they are facing some real trouble and they want to try to find a reason to blame Trump for it. It's just like the same thing that happens when you get one of these gangbangers locked up on First 48. Okay, if you ever seen that show on A&E, no ad here, I'm just saying. What they do on that show, somebody gets arrested, and then they take them in the back, and then they film in their interrogation. And a lot of times, these interrogations, if they don't just, stay quiet, ask for the lawyer, they'll sing like songbirds. They'll sing like classically trained parrots. I'm talking about, they'll sing like Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston at Super Bowl. They will tell everything. They will like, all right, Jamarcus, tell us what's going on right now. Are you going to get 2 years in the federal penitentiary? They were like, oh, I'm sorry. Start crying. I'm going to tell on everybody, 80 people. That's how it usually goes. So the QAnon shaman ain't no different. Okay, QAnon shaman, you can't get your organic food in the penitentiary. So tell us everything you know. Well, Trump did it. So come on. Trump did not say anything about pushing up on somebody or confronting somebody. He's talking about the right that we have to freedom of speech. You can protest, that's fine. I don't care if you're on the left, the right, you're politically agnostic, whatever you identify as, it's irrelevant. You have the First Amendment right to your freedom of speech, to address your grievances to the government or to anyone else. Now, when it gets into the violence and things of that sort, and trespassing and doing things you shouldn't be doing, destroying property, now you're doing something else. Okay, now you're doing something totally different. And at a certain point, if I go to a gas station or a grocery store, do you have the right to surround me and to threaten me and to push back on me? What does that really mean? What Maxine Waters did on tape that you saw with your own two eyes, heard with your own two ears, what she did is actually what they're accusing Trump of doing. Trump did not do what Maxine Waters did, but Maxine Waters did it. This is what the left does. The gaslight. They're saying, oh, nah, it's not us doing things. It's you doing it. Matter of fact, Trump did X, Y, and Z. But what I did was fine. It's justified. It's not going to work and all this and that. This whole capital thing is just kind of dumb. It's dumb. The left are capitalizing on it, trying to talk about, oh, the right, they are domestic terrorists, all kind of stuff. But they say nothing about their own goons, the BLM and Antifa crowd. As a matter of fact, BLM and Antifa were in D.C. last night marauding through the streets. And how many countless people have died, have been killed directly by BLM supporters as a result of BLM action? I mean, there's countless. You're talking about dozens over the past year. So, I mean, the false equivalence to, well, it's not even a matter of equivalence from their point of view on the left. They think that the left are doing things that are virtuous and are good and nothing is wrong with what they do. And they say what we do on our side is just terrible and you're domestic terrorists. But in reality, it's the other way around for the most part. Now, granted, nobody on either side is going to be perfect, but let's look at where the violence is actually coming from. Just, observe it from the outside and don't have any kind of political bias in it. And you can see what's going on. Maxine Waters, it ain't nothing but a stone cold stomp down liar. You heard and saw what she said compared to what Trump had said and what he did. And what he said and did makes him look like Mother Teresa compared to Maxine Waters. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Trump went too far with what he was saying before the Capitol? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. And let's not forget that the FBI say they knew about any potential incidents that could be going down at the Capitol before that day. Okay, and they've been planning it for weeks. Not the FBI, of course. Well, maybe. But the groups that were out there that were caught engaging in violence, they've been planning it for weeks on public platforms, social media, message boards, stuff like that. They had been doing it for a long time. So how are you going to say that Trump is the one that caused it? They say that Trump's speech caused the riot. Meanwhile, he was still talking while the rioters went down to the Capitol. This was a pre-planned thing. And I think many more players are involved in what we know of right now, but that may come out in the future. How do you feel about what Maxine Waters said in her original clip when she was out there with the bullhorn? How do you feel about that? Was that a provocation of violence? If you say, hey, if you see any of them, meaning Trump's cabinet members, if you see any of them, push up on them wherever they are, gas station, barbershop, beauty salon, grocery store, whatever it is, push up on them. Push back on them, make them not feel welcome. I mean, what is that really? If you want to say that somebody provoked someone to do something that they shouldn't be doing, who are you going to look at first? Donald Trump or Maxine Waters? But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.